just a few days away from the home opener. What's the atmosphere in the camp?
It's been a very spirited week so far. I think everybody is now ready for the competition to start. I feel in the group this week a difference in energy and a difference in environment, which is normal, which is expected, and which is something that's a great thing. Training today was possibly the best training session we've had all year so far. So there's a real energy about the group, and they are excited and focused and ready to get into the real competition.
We've seen some of those struggles in the recent pre-season friendlies in front of goal. What are you guys doing as their staff to try and keep spirits high in there and make sure that they're still confident?
Yeah, I mean, spirits are not low. Spirits are not down at all. The players are actually in a very good place with that. They feel confident. I can see in their body language. I can see in the way that they are behaving around each other in the locker room, which is their space, and then I can see how they're acting and training out on the field, which is the most important thing from my point of view. And as far as looking forward to the weekend and on the attacking side of the game, like I said after the game, I felt we created a lot of good moments in the game, and we've done some analysis work, of course, over the last 2 or 3 days. We've looked at some film with the players. We've trained very hard and very well here today, and I see a real confidence about the group in all aspects of the game, and the attacking side is no different. So we don't have concerns. We have strong players. We have strong people, and we'll be attacking this game on Saturday.
Any major injuries, anything with the group? Everybody 100%?
We actually have a couple of players back in training this week, which is great. Good boost for the group, and obviously a good boost for them. So no major concerns. We have a couple of knocks that we'll see how they do through the week, but nothing that is a real concern at this time. We have one player who we know won't make this weekend, and everybody else is potentially available. So we have a very, in general, healthy squad. Yeah.
Knowing that you've had some issues with fitness at the back during the course of pre-season, have you given any thought to maybe trying something out a little bit different, maybe moving away from the back three?
We've considered all of these options. We've looked at everything, and we've trained actually on a couple of different methods of playing in that way. So we're prepared for this, and it's obviously not ideal. It's obviously disappointing to have a couple of knocks during pre-season. It's also a very normal thing, but we've worked with the group, and the group are prepared for potential differences in shape and how we might play if we need it. So those are choices that we'll make during the week here, and we'll see how the group train this week, and we'll see where we land come the latter part of the week.
Obviously, last season was great for you guys. You have a big follow-up season now. What would you say the biggest changes, the biggest differences from last season to this season? How will that affect how things go?
Yeah, like you say, it's of course a huge positive for the club and for the team. The difference clearly is that as defending champions, you have probably a different sort of target potentially on your back, and so every team that we play, I've spoken on this a few times, we will be a target, and we will be something that every team will chase this year, and so we need to be ready for that. We need to be prepared for that. The players are certainly focused in that regard, and they know what to expect, but at the same time we will always frame things first and foremost from our own perspective. We have very good players, and we have a good group, and we will play in our way, and we will approach games in our direction, whilst also being aware of what games potentially might mean to anybody that we play this season.
You look to the weekend, Birmingham Legion, any particular pickups on their end that you think could prove critical in this game?
I think from my knowledge of them, they will be a team that will be competitive and very hard to break down potentially and to play against, and they'll also pose, I think, some good athletic attacking threat, particularly in transition. I would expect them to be good in those situations. So, as far as individual players for them, that's probably not my role to comment on that, but I think as far as a team goes, they'll have some good attacking threat about them. I know they have some high quality players, and I know they're a very well coached team as well. We had a tough game with them away from home last year, managed to come out on top of that one, and again for them, I know they'll be obviously keen to come and give a good account of themselves, and it'll be a very difficult opening game of the season. A team that have typically competed very well in the East Coast in the last couple of years, and like I say, it'll be a tough team to play against. and probably particularly from an attacking threat. They have a good amount of pace, and they're very quick to attack in some situations, I think, and we'll be ready and prepared for that.
Mentioning that game last year, of course, a pretty high temperature at times, especially towards the end of that.
Yeah.
With both sides returning a good number of players, do you think that's something that could be on the mind of either side?
I wouldn't think so. I think probably at this point, that was relatively early on in the season last year, and I think probably at this point, having got through an entire season, I don't believe there's probably too much carryover from that. Certainly, it's not something that we'll be focusing on, but as a team in general, we'll be prepared to compete and fight in games, not specifically for this specific opponent, but in games this year. If we need to fight and compete, we'll be ready to do that.
Any particular message to the fans ahead of the first game this weekend?
Yeah, the message for the fans would be, as I've asked of them a few times, is make this place as difficult an environment for teams to come and play as possible, and at the same time make it as supportive as we possibly can for our team. This is our home. This is where we play. This is our space. This is our stadium. This is where we represent our fans and our people. The team will be ready to give everything that they can possibly give, and the one thing that I ask of the fans is to make it loud and to make it an environment that is motivational for our players and for our team. Give them something that they strive to give back again, and they'll be doing this anyway. But the more atmosphere collectively that we can generate, the more it will benefit us, and the tougher it will be for any opponent this year that comes and plays at our stadium.
What's been the toughest adjustment over this last 2 months or so since taking over the head coaching role?
I think the toughest adjustment probably is more so maybe just the timing of when changes occurred, which again is a normal thing in sport. It's nothing that's out of the ordinary. But for me, the timeline of taking over was really once pre-season had already got underway, and so on one hand you don't have a lot of time to think and plan ahead for very much, and on the other hand you don't have too much time to think, and so you get on with it. So I'd say that just the timing of things has probably been the most difficult adjustment. Obviously, then replacing a couple of staff members has been a process and been something that's now proved to be a good thing, that we took some time, I think, to go through that process. But again, just the timeline probably was most difficult, and now that we've fallen into a bit more of a routine and a rhythm, and I expect that to carry on obviously now with the regular season, I think we'll find some good flow, and we'll find a proper way of working together throughout the course of a regular season now. So I've enjoyed every moment of it. It's been, of course there's been some difficult moments, and of course there've been some new challenges as far as managing a club. But I've loved every moment of it so far, and I'm sure I'm going to continue that. But the staff have worked extremely well together. The players have given me a lot as well, so I would praise them, and I would give them a lot of credit for the support they've shown me over this last 7 weeks of pre-season here, and I hope they feel that we've given just as much back to them, and that's the aim through the season. We keep giving to each other, we keep giving back to the fans as well, and people who come and watch us play, and collectively we make this a strong combined Phoenix Rising unit.
Obviously. Obviously, after the last pre-season game, we asked you a bit about Ryan Flood. Has there been any developments on that front?
At the moment, nothing to announce, nothing to report, nothing that's changed from the last time that we spoke. Ryan came and trained with us last week, obviously played in the pre-season game, and I don't have anything different to say on him than really I said to you after the game. So as of right now, there's nothing further, no new information that I have for you now.
Is there anything that we haven't asked that you've been really wanting to say?
Great question. I like that question. Listen, one thing I would say is, in order for us to be successful again this year, and you talked about the target potentially that we will be this year for teams, and this is normal for Phoenix Rising anyway, but maybe even more so now with the situation that we're in as the current reigning champions. We're going to need as much strength in numbers as we can possibly get this year, and so when we compete as a whole club and a whole community, and we do this together. And we spoke about this a lot through the playoffs, especially last year. The support that we had from the fans, the support that we had from the community, from you guys in the media, from the front office part of the club, obviously the coaches and players doing everything that we could do on the field, but that whole collective spirit and that whole collective unit that we fought together, I certainly felt like it was we had strength in numbers, and we were fighting as an army, not just as 11 players on a field. And so for us, again, this is something that now we want to carry on through the beginning of this season. And the hope is, and the target is, for us to be as consistent as we can through the entire season and achieve when we get to the latter stages. And in order to do that, we will need everybody involved, and every player will play their roles at some point during the season, and every staff member will play their roles, and the fans we know will play their role, and we'll be doing everything we can to give back to the collective. And that's a huge message for me, something I've spoken with the players about a lot. And in order for us to be successful, this doesn't happen with individuals, this happens with strength in numbers, and this happens with everybody combined, making us as strong as we possibly can together.